Test. Okay. I'm going to give a couple minutes for people to gather up, but I did schedule this stream ahead of time, so I wouldn't expect it would take that long for us to round people up who are interested in this topic. Okay. Can everyone see me? Can everyone hear me? Let me know how the health of the stream looks. I'm going to be very mad if the stream gives me problems tonight. All right. So I'm going to give it another minute. Actually, I'm going to give it like 15 more seconds, and then we're just going to go ahead and get started. We'll pick up more people as we go. But today's video is going to be very interesting. All right, guys. Welcome to the 2021 NFL Draft cornerback prospect discussion stream. I've spent the last 3 days uploading videos about the cornerbacks who will be available for the Seahawks to select in the upcoming draft, and I have gone over the ones that I like the most. I've done 15 in total. 5 will go probably in the first 100 picks. 5 will go in the first 200 to maybe, anywhere from the 100th pick to the 220th pick. And then the rest will be lucky to get drafted at all. So I thought it would be a good idea to go ahead and do a stream to just discuss everything I went over, and everybody can give their takes on certain prospects, whether or not they would like to draft them, how they see them fitting in, if there's anybody you don't like, if there's anybody I missed. Thought we'd go ahead and do a discussion for that. So let's go ahead and get underway here. We'll pick up more people as time goes by, but I think we already have like 10 people. So that's pretty good. We're going to get started here with discussing the top 100 prospects that the Seahawks could get. These are guys who I expect to go in the second or third round. And obviously, we have one pick in the late second round, number 56 overall. There is the opportunity for us to trade back and get extra picks, but I will say this. If we get to number 56 overall and one of these following two players is there, I would go ahead and just take the pick and deal with the consequences later, because I believe that these guys can be that good. So we're going to start with Eric Stokes from Georgia, my favorite cornerback prospect in this draft who we could actually get. Unfortunately, his 40 time was so good, he may not be available in the second round. He might even be like a late first round pick. If I had to guess, I would say he's probably going to be a mid to early second rounder, but there is some room for him to fall to the 56 range. We all know that it's somewhat dangerous to assume that 40 times are going to mean production at the NFL level. So Eric Stokes, 22 years old from Georgia. He's 6'1", weighs 185 pounds, and has a wingspan of 78 inches, as I went over in my video a couple days ago. So his measurables check out, and on top of all that, he runs a 4.2540. He is one of the fastest players in this draft. He is one of the fastest players at his position in the NFL once he's actually in the NFL. His statistics are a little weak. 2018 was his first year as a freshman. He had 20 tackles and 9 pass deflections, which is not bad, but he doesn't have a huge breadth of experience in NCAA. 38 tackles in 2019, 30 of them solo, 9 pass deflections, 1 sack, and 1 forced fumble. 2020, shortened season, but he had 20 tackles, 14 solo, 4 pass deflections, 4 picks, and 2 interception touchdowns. So I would say that this guy didn't play as much as some of the other guys we're going to be looking at, but some of that was because of COVID. It's not on him. And the talent that this guy flashed is very clearly top tier as far as cornerbacks in this range of the draft go. Pro Football Network, Tankathon, and the Draft Network all think he's going to be a high to mid second round pick. ESPN and Walter Football think he'll be a late second to early third round pick. Sporting News think and Pro Football Focus think he'll be an early to mid third round pick. So the possibility of him falling to us at number 56 exists. I'm not saying it's super likely, but it does exist. He developed ball hawk skills as a junior when he had 4 interceptions in a shortened season. He can play pretty much any different style, any scheme. If you take a look at this guy, it seems to me that he could fit in a zone defense, a man defense, cover 3, cover 1, cover 2, press, everything, man. So this guy can do it all. And with that being said, his current fit is clearly an outside corner in a zone scheme, which is what we need and how we would use him. So Eric Stokes would be everything. He's very fast and a great athlete all around. This guy is the real deal. This guy is the full package. The only thing you can say about Eric Stokes that isn't positive will be he needs to learn how to use his athleticism a little better. He's very fast, but he doesn't play as fast as he could. He needs to learn how to play faster. And he does have some technique issues he needs to clean up that he currently makes up for with his raw talent. That won't work as well in the pros, but it can work in college. So he has a little stuff to work on, but if Eric Stokes is there at 56, I'm all over that immediately. I will be very sad if we don't take this guy at 56 if he's there. All right. Nathaniel, the Hawks don't pick CB that high. Do you think if someone blew them away, they would do it? I would hope so. We have a real problem at cornerback right now. Well, not a problem, but the current crop of cornerbacks on this team is not very good. And while I respect Carroll's ability to take low-level cornerback talent in the draft and turn it into something good, if we have the opportunity to get a blue chipper like Eric Stokes, 56 overall, I would hope that he's smart enough to do it. Phoebe Hong, I have not seen any messages from you yet, except for that first one. Y2K, the only thing I've discussed so far is Eric Stokes, who is my favorite cornerback in this draft, and somebody who I would slam dunk fist pump take if he's there at 56 overall. They tend to get stuck in their ways. Yeah, that is true, but at a certain point, if you're Carroll and you love grooming defensive backs, why don't you get somebody with premier superstar talent out of the box? Eric Stokes, if you draft him, will probably start week 1. I would expect him to. I forgot his name, and this would still be a dream, but the really great CB in the draft who has the back injury concerns could fall. Like, that's partly why Metcalf fell so far, but you never know. Yeah, that could be a lot of different people, Ethan. I don't know who exactly you're talking about. He did draft Earl Thomas early. Yeah, he did. So if he loves Eric Stokes as much as I do, he might do it. Okay, now let's talk about the second guy who I love. And this is another guy who, if he is there in the late second, just take him. Do not trade back. Do not get cute. Do not get fancy. Just take this dude, Ifeatu Melifonwu. My other favorite cornerback in this draft. 22 years old from Syracuse, 6'2", 212 pounds. He's tall. He's got girth. 78.5-inch wingspan, so that's good enough for Carroll. 4.4840, so he's not fast. He's a lot slower than Stokes, but he's also a little lengthier, a little rangier. His stats the first 2 years of his college career were a little underwhelming. He did have 7 pass deflections and 2 picks in 2019. And in 2020, he had 55 tackles, 8 pass deflections, a sack, and an interception. So I think that there is a lot of production here that's worth noting. But Not too much more than Eric Stokes. Caleb Farley, Isaac Fisher. I don't think Caleb Farley has any chance of falling to us. I think Caleb Farley is going to be a late first rounder at the lowest. 4.840s. It's not a 4.840. It's a 4.4840. 4.48, not 4.8. 4.8 would be unacceptable. Yes, you're right. Yeah, yeah. Caleb Farley, I think, could still be like a top 20 pick, but I don't see him coming out of the first round. Saw a mock yesterday that had Melifonwu going 22 overall. Yeah, he's another guy who might be a late riser, but as of right now, every major website that I use for these studies says he's going to be a late second rounder or a high third rounder, with the exception of Pro Football Network that thinks he's going to be a sixth rounder. And they're off their rocker, but as of right now, Melifonwu is not even a top 50 prospect according to any website that I used. So I do not expect him to go in the first round whatsoever. So Melifonwu has a great combination of length, size, and athleticism. He would fit right in as an outside cornerback in Carroll's secondary, man. This guy is just like guys like Sherman and Browner and Maxwell and if you want to talk about some of the guys that didn't work out, like Thorold Simon, to a certain extent Trey Flowers. So these are the two guys who I would just jump all over at number 56 overall. He will be a great fit for his zone scheme. He's got great ball skills and reading ability. If you let him play in his zone defense and let him just read the play, I think you've really got something. I think he's going to make a lot of plays on the ball. He's a good tackler. I saw a lot of highlights of him making good tackles in the open field. He should be effective in press man for whatever that's worth. If he ever needed to play in a press man defense, he would probably be good at that. Once he develops, he should break up a lot of passes in the NFL with his length and athleticism. The only thing I can say about Melifonwu is that he needs to learn how to anticipate a little bit better. He only had 3 interceptions in a 3-year career in college. If his anticipation skills get a little better, I think he could increase that number drastically. So Melifonwu is my other favorite corner prospect in this draft. Really like this guy. Really think he would fit in. So we've got some people in the chat who are willing to discuss Melifonwu a little bit. It seems like some people are intrigued, some people a little less so, but some people think he'll be out of our range too. But I'm seeing a pretty good variety of thoughts on Melifonwu. All right, so I'm going to go to the third prospect we're going to cover today. Okay, well, real quick here. Well, if you look at how Metcalf turned out, should have been first receiver drafted. Injuries really scared teams, and Farley has the injuries. But with that said, there are loads of other options. Yeah, I know teams are going to be scared of Farley because of the injuries, but I don't think they're going to be scared to that degree. He's going to be a first-round pick. Okay. Third prospect, Tyson Campbell, out of Georgia, 21 years old. He's younger than the average rookie even for this. Very good. He's 6'2". He's got the height, 185 pounds. Little lanky, little slight of frame. Wingspan is not great. It's 75 and a half inches. You would like to see a couple more inches if you're going to be in a Carroll defense. Good 40 time, though. 4.38 40 time. Very nice. He's fast. 2018, he had a nice freshman year, 45 tackles, 1 pass deflection, 1 forced fumble. Not somebody who made a ton of plays on the ball in college. 2019, he didn't play very much because of injuries. 15 tackles and 4 pass deflections. 2020, 26 tackles, 17 solo, 4 pass deflections, and a pick. So only 1 interception in 3 years and only 9 pass breakups across 3 years. So his stats are pretty flat, if we're being straight honest. Would you rather see us go center with our first pick just because there are a lot of round 4 or 5 Seahawks DBs? No, I don't like any of the top-level centers in this draft, Y2K. So as for Tyson Campbell, Walter Football thinks he could be a first-round pick, but everyone else thinks he'll be a second-round pick or a third-round pick. It seems to me that Tyson Campbell is going to go in the late second round, if I had to guess. So he will be available or has a chance to be available at our pick. Do you like Marco Wilson? I looked him up a little bit. He didn't strike me as a good fit. All right. So anyway, he's a very good athlete with great agility and quickness. He's combines length with athleticism in a way that I think Carroll will really like. He's got enough length and a good enough frame to be an appealing prospect in the NFL. I will say that I wish his wingspan was a little longer. I would be all over this if his wingspan was longer, but I think what he has is probably good enough anyway. I also think that if he moves to a zone scheme on defense, he will make more interceptions. The fact that he only made 9 plays on the ball in his career is troubling, but I think he'll make a lot more if you put him in a zone scheme. He also has injury concerns. He had a couple of major injuries at Georgia, and he does have some situational awareness lapses, but I'm not worried about that because, well, that's typical of a young player. Yeah, that's why I tried to use 7 different major sources Y2K. I didn't want to trust one big board over everyone else's. I just decided to do the kind of the average of 7 different big boards to get an idea. I'd rather have Campbell than Melifonwu because that speed really matters in the NFL. That's fair. That's fair. I don't think speed matters as much in this defense, though. I want to put that. So, regarding the thing about wingspan, how do we differentiate these guys in the draft with a wide wingspan from someone like Trey Flowers? Like, I just don't want to end up with another Trey Flowers. Well, the thing is, Trey Flowers was a safety in college, and he converted to cornerback when the Seahawks drafted him. So that could have been why it didn't totally work out with him. Um, that could have been, yeah. That could have been why. Maybe he just doesn't have enough confidence. There could be a lot of things going on with Trey Flowers. I don't want to say that just because we drafted him, just because we drafted him and it didn't work out great, doesn't mean we should stop looking for players with a big wingspan. Clearly, Carroll has had a lot of success with players who were unvalued by everyone else who had a big wingspan. But that's really up to Carroll to grind into the finer points of talent evaluation. Yahoo Mock Draft has Melifonwu number 23 to the Jets, Campbell number 28 to the Saints, and Joseph 56 to the Hawks. I don't think Campbell's going to be a first round pick, honestly. I'm not really seeing that. What about Paulson Adebo? I looked at him a little bit. I ended up not putting him on my list. I can't totally remember why, but there was something that kind of put me off of Adebo. It might have been that he played in a man defense in college and he looked like he would be better as a man defender. Should we go for Trill Williams round 4? I looked at Trill Williams. Didn't really do it for me. Yeah, Micah, if Eric Stokes is there somehow, I would even be willing to trade up to get him. Okay, let's go to player number 4 here and let's discuss Shaun Wade. And this guy I'm not so sure about, but let's talk about him anyway. He's 22 years old from Ohio State, 6'1", 194 pounds, 78-inch wingspan, which is all more than good enough for Carroll. I couldn't find his 40 time because he didn't do the pro day, but he seems reasonably fast. 2018 was actually probably the best year of his career, which is not great, but as a freshman, he had 31 tackles, 27 solo, 7 pass breakups, a forced fumble, and 3 picks. 2019, he had 25 tackles, 16 solo, 8 pass breakups, 2 sacks, a forced fumble, and a pick. And 2020 he had 20 tackles, 3 pass deflections, 2 picks, and 1 touchdown. So Shaun Wade's best career season of his career was as a freshman when he was playing in the nickel, which is not great for us. Shaun Wade at one point was expected to be a first round pick, but he's fallen very far. He's now not expected to be a second round pick even. Even the Sporting News, which likes him more than anyone else I could find, thinks he'll be a third rounder. So does Pro Football Network, so does Tankathon, so does Walter. ESPN, Pro Football Focus both think he'll be a fourth rounder. The Draft Network thinks he'll be a fifth rounder. So I think he's probably going to be a third rounder, if I had to guess right now. I think Shaun Wade will probably be a third rounder. He was a star at the nickel cornerback position as a freshman, and he does have the physical attributes to fit right in as an outside corner in the Seahawks defense. He's got the length, he's got the size, he's got the wingspan, the height. He's got some ball hawking skills. He should be able to play well at outside corner in this defense. Very good tackler, very good in run defense. The red flag with Shaun Wade is that he had problems when he moved outside after his freshman year. He started giving up more stuff. He made less plays. He was just a generally less effective player when he moved to outside cornerback. So some people think that Wade might play nickel in the NFL. Some people think he might play safety in the NFL, like one of those positionless players like Jamal Adams. So I don't know about what Shaun Wade will be in the NFL, but in terms of his body type and potential, he can play outside in this D. If you get Shaun Wade, and I would consider taking Shaun Wade in the third round if we trade back, it would be a test of Carroll's ability to get a very talented but raw player and develop him into somebody who works in his defense. So Shaun Wade to me is not my favorite. I'm a little off of him compared to where I was with some of these other prospects, but Wade would be a potential pick. I think the guys that are falling we should be paying attention to, especially if they were once potential first rounders. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like Stokes, Melifonwu, and Campbell might be out of our range. They might be long gone before we pick. That is a real possibility. So that's fair. So that's Shaun Wade. I'm not fist pumping about this one, but there was a point where Shaun Wade was going to be a top 20 pick, I think, and it wasn't that long ago. And then things just didn't quite come together for him. And I think he's going to be a third round pick. And, if we trade back and can get Shaun Wade with one of our picks and then use our other pick on a good tight end or a good receiver or even a good Sam linebacker, I'm not going to be too mad about that. I think of these five players, Shaun Wade is my least favorite, but he's good. I would rather take him than somebody like a Debo probably. All right, so I think that's really all I can say about Shaun Wade at this point. Intriguing prospect for sure. But I'm going to swing right into the fifth and final player we're going to evaluate in this part, Kelvin Joseph of Kentucky. And I like Kelvin Joseph quite a bit, and quite a few people think the Seahawks will end up with him. Shaun Wade was bad as an outside cornerback. Yeah, that's kind of what I've been finding, Micah. That's what I've been seeing. He struggled when he moved outside. Carroll could develop him though. Stuff happens. But anyway, Kelvin Joseph, he's only 20. He's very young. Young even for a rookie. 6'1", 191 pounds, 77-inch wingspan, 4.3440. All of his measurables check out. You'd like the wingspan to be a tiny bit longer, but whatever. We're talking about half an inch here. I can live. We can put him in the stretching rack or whatever and give him another half an inch if we really want to. So, yeah, this guy's fast. He's long. He's tall. He can do a lot of good stuff. He did not play very much in college. I have to point that out here. He played a little bit in 2018, and he played all of 2020. He missed 2019, but in 2018 he had 12 tackles and one pass breakup. In 2020 he had 25 tackles, one pass breakup, and 4 interceptions, one touchdown. So he really became a ball hawk. He's got great ball skills. 4.34, Micah. 4.34 according to my research. So he's fast. He's not Eric Stokes fast, but he's fast. Pro Football Network and ESPN both really like this guy. They think he's going to be an upper second round pick. Walter Football thinks he has an outside chance of being a first rounder, but they also think he could be a third. Tankathon and Pro Football Focus say third rounder. Draft Network says fourth rounder, and Sporting News does not even have him ranked, which is they probably missed the boat on this one. That's really all I can say about it. He's got the length to start outside in the NFL. He's a logical fit to be an outside cornerback in the NFL. He played outside corner, he played nickel corner, and he played safety for the Kentucky defense. He did it all. He did it all for that defense. He played strong safety, free safety, outside, nickel. Very versatile player. He's got very good ball skills. He learned how to take that ball away in 2020 big time. However, the downsides here are clear. He did not play very much in college. So you better believe he's going to be a developmental project. He's probably not going to start week 1. He might not play very much year 1. So to me, If you get him, you better be ready for a little bit of a red shirt. Now, this guy is so talented and so potentially good, it might be worth it. He does need to work on technique. He needs to work on the more cerebral side of the game. He will probably make a lot of mistakes if he gets on the field as a rookie, but maybe that's something we're willing to live with. Maybe it'll be worth it. Maybe Carroll can turn a rabbit out of his hat like he kind of did with Trey Flowers and turn him into a good starter in year one. He's done it before. Sherman went from a fifth round pick to a starter by week 6 or 7 of his rookie career. So Kelvin Joseph would be the fifth and final top 100 prospect I would want for the Seahawks. I like him. The only thing I'll say is if you take him, you're looking at a year one red shirt, probably. I don't want to say definitely, but probably. And is that really what you want to use a top 100 pick on? I don't know, but this guy's good. Trill looks to be drafted right around pick 100 to 120. Yeah, I looked at Trill Williams. Something put me off of him, but I didn't think he was bad. I just liked other players better. So Trill Williams would probably go somewhere on my list as well. But there was, in fact, if you guys give me a minute here, I can probably go look it up and see what it was that made me not add him on my list because I don't have him on my list. So we're going to take a few minutes to settle down. I'll take comments, questions. You guys let me know what you guys think about the prospects I just went over. Who would you like? Who would you not like? Etc. Okay, Paulson Adebo. Let me take a look at Paulson Adebo. You know, looking at the Paulson Adebo scouting report, that actually sounds really good. Maybe I just didn't add him because I didn't have room. I may have not added Paulson Adebo just because I didn't have room, but that's somebody who we could strongly consider taking in the second to third round. Trill Williams, let me see here. Okay. Yeah, Trill Williams is another guy who I liked, but I didn't have him on the list because I ran out of room. I wanted to keep it to 15 players at most. So yeah, okay. I'm not putting them on the list, this list, but let it be known that Paulson Adebo and Trill Williams would probably both be good Seahawk corners if we took them. Let me check one more thing here real quick. Okay, Paulson Adebo has 77-inch wingspan. That's good enough, so it wasn't that. I must have just felt like I liked these other guys a little bit more. But maybe you could bump off Shaun Wade and put Adebo there. Oh my God. No, wait, no, wait. That can't be right. That can't be right. Okay, there's no way that's Trill Williams's wingspan. Um, yeah, Ethan, I completely agree. I mean, it was a turnover that cost us that playoff game against the Rams, I think. I think that game, as bad as the offense was in that game, we were on track to win, but then we lost the turnover battle. Okay, I cannot find Trill Williams's wingspan, but if it really is 80 inches, you can definitely bump off Shaun Wade and say that it should probably be him on the list. But we kind of ran out of room here because there are so many good corners in this draft. But yeah, let it be known that Paulson Adebo and Trill Williams, I didn't talk about them in this series, but it wasn't because of them. It was because there's so much intriguing talent in this drafted corner. So they should probably be considered as well. Okay, so we're going to swing over to the late round prospects in a moment here. We spent a good 30 minutes on the round 2 to 3 prospects, the top 100s. We're going to move over to the guys who will go somewhere after 100, but before 220. But first, we've got about 20 people in the stream right now. I want to thank everybody who showed up. Please like the stream if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new and you want daily Seahawks content. Become a member by clicking the join button down below to support the channel even further and gain access to perks for $2 or $5 a month. And donations via PayPal and Super Chat are always appreciated to help keep making the channel better and help keep the channel growing. All right, let's take a look at some round 4 through round 6 prospects. And there are some really good guys here too. All right, everyone ready? So, if we don't use our first pick on a corner, good chance we end up with one of these guys. All right, then with the multiple mentions, I will add True Williams to my list. I haven't really been going out of my way to watch and learn. Yeah, Ethan, that's why I wanted to do the film study streams, but YouTube won't let me. YouTube was like, no, you cannot do that. Anyway, okay, so first prospect here is Benjamin St-Juste, probably my favorite of this range. These first two guys are studs, by the way. I would take Benjamin St-Juste and the guy after him in the third, but I think they may fall to the fourth. All right, so Benjamin St-Juste from Minnesota, 6'3", very tall, 200 pounds. He's got a good frame, 80-inch wingspan. Hello. 4.5, 140, not great. But that's what you would expect from a player this tall and rangy. 2017, he only played a tiny bit, didn't really do anything. 2018, he didn't play at all. 2019, breakout year, 45 tackles and 10 pass breakups. 2020, he didn't play very much. COVID, blah, blah, blah. 14 tackles, 3 PDs. So right away, we're going to see some issues here that are worth noting. He does not have a single interception in his college career. He only really played 2 years, and one of them was the COVID year, but no interceptions in a 2-year career. Or, yeah, basically. That's not ideal. That's not exactly what we're looking for now, is it? However, nevertheless, ESPN says he'll be a high third rounder. Pro Football Focus and the Draft Network say late third rounder. Pro Football Network says fourth rounder. And Walter Football says they didn't even have him ranked, which is weird, but whatever. This guy is like if Richard Sherman had longer arms, basically. He's the most Sherman-like cornerback in the draft. Great developmental project for Carroll as an outside cornerback. His length alone allows him to catch balls. There were plays, man, where he would get beat and he would just use his length to get back into the play and break up the pass despite him messing up because his length gives him so much room for error. He's an ideal fit for the cover 3 defense, which we run. Good tackler. He can tackle in the open field, no problem. Not an amazing athlete overall. I mean, you know, when you're that tall and you've got that long of arms, it's not shocking, but he's not an amazing athlete. He needs to improve his mind, but he's a rookie. What else are you going to expect? He does have injury concerns. He got injured a couple times in college, so there are some issues with St-Juste, but I'm telling you this, if you want to find the next Richard Sherman, it's probably this guy right here. This guy could be the next Richard Sherman. So it seems like a couple of people in the chat are a little concerned about St-Juste. I will admit 0 interceptions in his career is not ideal, but I'm telling you guys, there is a lot of talent here that they could develop. This guy is a superstar in the making in the Carroll defense. All right, so next up, next name, and this is the other guy who I might be willing to take in the third if he's there, Israel Mukuamu. I watched some tape on this guy. I really liked what I saw. I read some stuff on him. I love it. 21 years old. He's young. South Carolina Gamecock. 6'3", tall, 205 pounds. He's got some girth to his frame. 81-inch wingspan. 81 inches. That is freak territory, guys. That is 3 inches longer than Richard Sherman's wingspan. 4.55 40. Not very good, admittedly, okay? You got to give something back, right? If this dude ran a 4.3 40, he would probably be a top 20 pick, top 10 pick. He would be Patrick Surtain II. All right, stats. 2018, first season, he played a little bit, 17 tackles, a forced fumble, a pick, a pass breakup. Broke out in 2019. 59 tackles, 45 solo, 9 pass breakups, 4 interceptions, 1 touchdown. Ball hawk. Took that ball away. 2020, 10 tackles, 2 picks. 7 interceptions in 3 years. This dude knows how to take the ball away. That's one thing he definitely has over St. Just. He does. I have to give credit where credit is due. Israel Mukamu is a ball hawk. He's got great ball skills. Despite that, the Draft Network thinks he'll be a late third-round pick, and no one else thinks he's going to be top 100. Walter Football thinks he'll go anywhere from the 3rd to the 5th, probably the 4th. Pro Football Focus, Pro Football Network say 5th-round pick. ESPN says late 5th-round pick. So this guy has all the talent in the world. He got picks in college, but there's just something missing here. And I don't know what it is, but I got to tell you, there's a lot of potential here. If you want to find a late round cornerback prospect, to me, it's either Israel Mukamu or Benjamin St. Just. Those are the guys who I love. This guy is versatile. He played outside corner, he played slot corner, played free safety, and he played strong safety at South Carolina. He can play every position. He's got an amazing wingspan and he knows how to use it. He's long, he's rangy, he's a good athlete. He's a better athlete than St. Just. And he knows how to play physically as well. I saw him get in and disrupt a lot of receivers coming out of their break, coming out of their stance. Very good in zone coverage, as his 7 interceptions can attest to. He's got great ball skills, knows how to come down with errant passes. He does need to work on some technique things, and his frame is a little bit irregular for a cornerback. I don't think it's a thing that Carroll will view as a problem. I don't. I'm reading Israel gets it done in zone coverage, but underdeveloped in man-to-man. Maybe that's what's missing. Yeah, maybe. I mean, that shouldn't be that big of a problem for us, right? We run zone. We want zone corners around here, don't we? So, yeah. I would be willing to trade in the 2nd round and in the 3rd round and take Mukamu. Yeah, Y2K, we're going to have to talk about that at some point. The Evan White problem. If Pete can get a guy like one of these and really groom them to be consistently in the right spot, they don't even need to be all that fast. Sherman wasn't all that fast, just in the right spot. Yeah, exactly. Speed doesn't matter that much in this defense at outside corner. Look at Brandon Browner. That dude was slow. That dude was not fast at all. Maxwell wasn't fast. Um, Sherman was a little bit faster than those guys, but the point is, playing corner in this defense is about more than just speed. I've been hearing, though, that Keith Taylor has had attitude problems. News to me. But yeah, Israel Mukamu and Benjamin St. Just are my guys. If you want to find a corner in the later rounds who has a chance to start immediately and could be a stud by year 2, those are your guys. Okay, let's go to prospect number 3. I don't like this guy as much as the first 2, but he's intriguing. I would be willing to burn a 4th or 5th round pick on him. Keith Taylor Jr., 23 years old, so little old, but not a huge problem. Washington Huskies. 6'2", he's got the height. 191 pounds, decent frame. 76-inch wingspan, which is okay. It's not good, but it's workable. 4.5440, which is... Okay, so he's pretty Pete Carroll-ish. However, there are some problems here. He played 4 years in college, right? Now, he only really had a full slate in 2019, right? Because 2017, he barely played. 2018, he barely played. 2020, COVID. 2019 was his only real full year in college. He had 59 tackles, 38 of them solo, and 5 pass breakups. He has 10 career pass breakups in his college career. Not great. 0 interceptions. Not a ball hawk whatsoever. And I will say this. I watched him play pretty much every game in his career, every snap. And my impression was that when he was in coverage, a lot of the time his coverage was so good there was no play to make. He would just have the ball be thrown 5 yards over his head because he'd have good coverage. And how are you going to make a play on the ball? So I don't want to totally hold it against him, but we are talking about a guy who has 10 pass breakups in his career and 0 interceptions. Draft Network thinks he'll be a 4th rounder. Walter Football thinks he'll be from the 4th through the 6th. Pro Football Network says 5th. ESPN says 7th rounder. And Pro Football Focus says undrafted. Outside shot of being a 7th rounder. So Keith Taylor Jr., he can cover pretty well. He knows how to recover when he gets beat. When he messes up a little bit, he can recover well. Very good tackler in all situations. His size and his experience means he will fit in as an outside corner in the Seahawks defense very well. He knows how to use his length well. He does sometimes get caught looking in the backfield. And like I said, not a ball hawk whatsoever. So Keith Taylor Jr. to me is clearly on the next tier of corner prospects in this draft. I would be willing to spend maybe a 5th round pick on Keith Taylor Jr. I think he will probably be available in that range, and just see what Carroll can do with him. He does have a lot of Carroll type attributes, but I'm not crazy excited about this guy at this point. So in chat, we're hearing some different things about Keith Taylor. Somebody said he had attitude problems. Some people are pointing out that, having a lot of tackles as a cornerback might mean that you're giving up a lot in coverage, which is true. But for whatever it's worth, Keith Taylor Jr. does seem like a pretty good tackler, and that is an asset. That it's not never bad to be a good tackler. It might be bad to be getting a lot of tackles. All right. So anyway, that's what I can say about Keith Taylor Jr. Decent late round prospect, decent flyer. Definitely intrigued by Israel now, but it sounds like he'll be gone by the time we pick at 129. I'm reading late 3rd round pick. Yeah, David. That's why if we trade out of the 2nd, I wouldn't mind using a 3rd round pick on Israel Mukamu. For whatever it's worth, every publication I found that had him listed, except for the Draft Network, thinks he'll be a 4th rounder at best. I like the kid Pinnock from Pittsburgh. I'm not familiar with Pinnock from Pittsburgh. Let me, just for fun, Pittsburgh. I don't see him listed here. Maybe they list him at safety? No. Yeah, I'm not seeing that player listed on the Draft Network, Michael. That's interesting. I mean, I'm not denying he might be good or bad. I'm not saying anything good or bad about him, but I'm not seeing it. Not seeing him listed here. Okay, let's go to player number 4 in this area. That is Elijah Griffin from USC. He's a Trojan. And this guy's kind of weird. I looked for his college highlights, and most of the videos I found, for some reason, were his highlight reels in high school. Don't know what that's about. Hey, Green Earth. I think if Caleb Farley falls to the 2nd round, we should draft up. I can't argue with that. But I don't think that's going to happen. That's very unlikely to me. I think he's going to be a 1st round pick. I don't think he gets past like the Colts. Elijah Griffin, 22 years old from USC. He's 6 feet tall. Good enough. 175 pounds. Needs to put on a little bit of weight probably. Could not find his wingspan. 4.53 40 time. So this is another prospect who is good but not great. He played a little bit in 2018. Broke out in 2019. 37 tackles and 9 pass breakups, which is good. 2020, limited time, 22 tackles, 3 pass deflections, and 1 pick. So this is another guy who, he's kind of like Keith Taylor Jr. for me. There is some stuff to like about him, but overall, I'm a little underwhelmed. Pro Football Network thinks he'll be a 4th rounder. Draft Network says 5th. Pro Football Focus says 5th. ESPN and Walter Football don't even think he's going to get drafted. Y2K, he's tall enough. He's 6 feet tall. That's not short. Short is like DJ Reed. That's short. 6 feet tall is good enough. So he's very competitive, Elijah Griffin. He's a good tackler, and he's got good enough length to win at the line of scrimmage. I couldn't find his exact wingspan, but apparently it's good enough. He's also got good ball skills. Despite limited playing time in college, he had 13 pass breakups, which is pretty good given the fact that he didn't play that much. He should be very capable of playing well in his own defense. You put him in his own defense, he'll probably take the ball away more. However, at this point, he has mostly played press man in college. So if you drafted him into this defense, you would probably need some time to groom him to be able to play zone. He is injury prone, and he is slight of frame. So I think that's enough red flags to say you probably shouldn't consider taking him until like the 6th round. But if we have somehow not addressed corner by the 6th round and Elijah Griffin is one of the guys there, I would probably jump on that. That's pretty good. You could do a lot worse than a prospect like Elijah Griffin in the 6th round. All right. This guy played at USC, so some people in chat should be somewhat familiar with his work just because he played in the Pac-12. So if you watch Pac-12 football, the fact we have had success with a short corner like DJ Reed tells me that we don't always need to look for the super big corner. Well, Michael, we don't need to, but I think that we will. I think that Carroll still thinks that getting tall, long, rangy corners is his thing. Just because we had to play DJ Reed outside and just because it worked pretty well, I don't think that means that he's suddenly going to go, I'm going to abandon my methodology that I've had for decades and decades just because it worked out okay for me one time. Like Shaquille Griffin had a very bad wingspan. Shaquille Griffin's wingspan was 74 inches. Shaquille Griffin's wingspan was, I think, smaller than DJ Reed's. Yeah, Greg Newsome is not going to be available at our pick, though. Greg Newsome is probably a first rounder, Amari Taylor. If he's not, he's going to be gone before we pick anyway. It's no way. No, just no. All right. So now we're going to do the 5th and final prospect that we could probably get in the later rounds of the draft. This guy is somebody who I think his experience. Yeah, I know Y2K. Yeah, when Carroll drafted um when Carroll drafted Shaq, he kind of broke his rule. And that year he felt like he had to because there were no good corners for him to draft and he really wanted a corner. And it worked out okay, but Shaq Griffin's arms are very short compared to other players that Carroll has gone for. All right, so 5th and final is Rodarius Williams from Oklahoma State. He's already 24 years old, which is a little but it's not a big deal. 6 feet tall, 193 pounds, so he's tall enough. He's got a good frame. 76.5-inch wingspan, which you kind of wish it was another half-inch longer, but whatever. And it's good enough, and 45.340. I'm sorry, 4.5340, so he's not really fast. He's not super slow either. 4.53 is All right, so the thing with Rodarius Williams is he has a ton of experience. He played 4 full years in college. As a freshman, he had 44 tackles and 10 pass breakups. 2018, he had 49 tackles and 8 pass breakups with 2 picks. 2019, 58 tackles and 6 pass breakups. 2020, 18 tackles, 7 pass breakups, and 1 forced fumble. So he had a full 4-year college career. And over those 4 years, he had, 35 pass breakups? You will not find very many college players who have 35 pass breakups in their career. Walter Football loves this guy, and they actually think he's going to be a day 2 pick. Pro Football Focus and the Draft Network, Pro Football Focus says 4th rounder, Draft Network says 5th, Pro Football Network says 6th, ESPN says 7th. I think he's probably going to be a 5th rounder if I had to guess. He's lengthy enough to cut it in the Seahawks defense, and he knows how to use his length well. I was pretty impressed when I watched him play. He's good at the line of scrimmage. He knows how to put jams on players coming out of their break and disrupt their routes. He's got good technique. He's got a lot of things that come with experience, right? He should be ready to play as a rookie to whatever capability he'll ever be able to play, right? Now, the downside is that he's got low upside, but he'll be good quickly. He does have some slow reaction times on shorter passes. He seems to be really afraid of getting beat deep, and as such, will give up a lot underneath. Kind of maybe like a Trey Flowers type thing, where Trey Flowers, because he's slow, is afraid of getting beat deep, so he keeps on giving up short stuff all day. As of right now, he seems to be mostly familiar with man coverage, which is also a red flag. However, I think he can transition to zone, and I don't think it would take that long because of his experience, but it would be a transition. But this guy would be an interesting stopgap solution for the secondary for a few years, just give some depth. But I don't see this guy ever being a stud. I think he kind of is what he is when he is a rookie. And there's some good stuff you can say about that. But overall, you would probably want somebody with a little more superstar potential. But in the fifth round, pretty good. So that's Rodarius Williams, who, by the way, is related to Greedy Williams, who is already in the NFL. Greedy Williams was a much better prospect, but Rodarius is probably going to be playing on Sunday at some point. Okay, so let's take a few minutes here to take a look at these five players, and if anybody has any particular thoughts. Did I miss anybody who you guys think is going to go in this range? If you feel that way, let me know. Um, By the way, I know that there are some people, maybe not in this chat, but there are going to be some people in general who are going to ask me, what about Asante Samuel Jr.? I did not include Asante Samuel Jr. because he's going to be a nickel corner in the NFL, and I don't want a new nickel corner. I think we're fine at nickel. Elijah Molden, same thing. I don't want Elijah Molden. Elijah Molden will probably play nickel in the NFL, and we don't need another nickel corner. I think Greedy Williams is pretty good in the NFL, but I haven't seen a ton of him. Y2K. We'll get to Tay Gowan soon, Mr. Kane. Yeah, Greedy has missed games. I know he missed the game against the Seahawks when we played Cleveland a couple years ago. But yeah, I don't want to draft any players who are short. I don't want to draft anybody who projects to be a nickel corner in the NFL. And that goes for Shaun Wade. So honestly, that's taking a little bit of the shine off of Shaun Wade's apple for me. How old is Israel Mukamu? He is. I have this written down somewhere. Hold on. Hold on. He is 21. He's actually quite young, even for a rookie. 21 years old. He might turn 22 before the season starts, but it doesn't really matter that much. Yeah, Greedy Williams has a wonderful name for a corner. Is that his real name? All right. Home stretch, guys. Home stretch. What about the dude from Oregon? His first name starts with James. Let me see here. Who might you be talking about? Thomas Graham Jr.? That's the only Oregon cornerback that I know of off the top of my head, Thomas Graham Jr. There's Diomedor Lenore, but not really feeling it. Yeah, I don't know who you're talking about, Amari Taylor. I just checked the list. I don't see any other Oregon corners here. Okay, Mr. Kane. Sorry to hear. You can watch the stream back later. By the way, guys, on the Draft Network, Caleb Farley is still the top rated corner. He's ranked seventh overall. So, yeah, I don't think Caleb Farley's falling to us. It would have to be another Metcalf scenario, and I don't think that's going to happen. Too many teams need good corners. Okay, so we're going to jump to the third and final part of this stream, but first, we've got 20 people in here about. Thank you, everybody, for coming out to the stream tonight. Please like the stream if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and you want daily Seahawks content. Click the join button down below to become a member for $2 or $5 a month to help the channel and gain access to perks. And donations are always appreciated in the form of super chats and PayPal donations. I would love to move Asante Samuel Jr. to free safety. He looks like second coming of Earl Thomas, but he won't fall to us and we won't take him. If we take another safety, like, okay, I think we're pretty well set in terms of our current roster, but we cannot take another safety, can we? We already blew our load on safety. We traded for Diggs. We traded for Adams. Like, unless we're planning on flipping Diggs, yeah, that's too much. If you want to flip Diggs, then fine. If I guess you could move Jamal Adams to linebacker, but no, please don't. So, yeah. All right. Round 7 and UDFA prospects. Here are 5 guys who I like, who I think may end up being good pros despite not really being drafted. Yeah, I don't doubt Asante Samuel Jr. is going to be a great player, but we already blew our load on safety for the moment. We need to start thinking about drafting a linebacker. That will be coming up soon, Rabbitron. Okay, so round 7 to UDFA prospects that I like. So we're going to start with Tay Gowan from UCF. Another UCF player I kind of like in this draft. He's 6'2". He's tall, especially for a corner in this range. That is a very tall corner. Did you mention DJ Daniels from Georgia? He is the only Georgia secondary player who I did not mention. Let me take a look at this real quick. I might have left him off because of lack of space. I might have left him off because there was something I didn't like. Let me check DJ Daniel real quick. Well, he's 5'11 and a half. That's not ideal, but it's not a deal breaker. Let me check something here real quick. Okay. Yeah, DJ Daniel is another dude who I like after looking this up. 81-inch wingspan, guys. 81-inch wingspan. He's like King Kong or something. I didn't have him listed here because I ran out of room because there are so many corners I like. But yeah, add DJ Daniel to the potential list of UDFA prospects. Okay, just gonna put that out there right now. I like him. I didn't put him on the list, but I like him. Okay, so Tay Gowan, his wingspan is not very good. 75 and a half inches. Bleh. 40 time, 4.49. Decent. So this guy's tall. He doesn't really have the length to back it up, but he's got reasonable speed. The problem with Tay Gowan is he's only had one college season, 2019. He had 31 tackles, 8 pass breakups, and 2 picks. So he had a pretty good year, but it was only 1 year. PFF loves him and thinks he will be a 3rd rounder. The Draft Network says 6th rounder. Pro Football Network says undrafted. So does ESPN. So does Walter Football. I think he's probably going to be about a 7th round pick if he's lucky because he only had 1 season. He's a good tackler in the run game. He's a great tackler against receivers. He's going to be a good fit for a cover 3 zone. He should fit right in the Carroll defense as an outside corner, no doubt about it. He can also play safety, which gives him extra value. He's also a good special teamer, which gives him extra value. He's an average athlete, and when you're drafting players this late, or you're not drafting them at all, that's the best you can hope for mostly. He's an average athlete for his size. He does struggle to cover sometimes due to technique issues. He has some stuff to work on, but Carroll, that's one thing he's usually pretty good at. Very little experience makes him probably a year 1 redshirt at the least. I would not expect him to do much as a rookie, but he can play as a maybe, hopefully by his 2nd year he'll be able to play. We can't forget we are talking about all these different players from several different positions, but we can't forget we only have 3 picks. If we trade back, it's hard to predict the result. Yeah, that's why I'm talking about so many different players. I want to keep the net wide. So if one guy gets drafted earlier than I expected, I'm not completely ruined. Tay Gowan was in a video with Bengal. Who's Bengal? Yeah, Amari Taylor. Georgia had a loaded secondary last year. Um, Stokes, Campbell, DJ Daniel, and Mark Webb. They might all be playing in the NFL. Yeah, yeah, David. I remember when Asante Samuel got drafted. I remember when he was a rookie. Okay, that's Tay Gowan. Let's go to player number two. Of the undrafted prospects, this might be my favorite. I'm not sure. It's a tough competition between him and number four, but Antonio Phillips, Ball State Cardinals. Ah, Madden YouTuber. Okay. No, Amari, I don't know TJ Carter. So, Antonio Phillips, he's 6 feet tall, 175 pounds, 77.5 inch wingspan. All pretty good. He needs to put on a little bit of weight, but that stuff is all good. 4.52 40 time. He had a good 4 year career at Ball State. First year, he didn't play a ton, but he still had 19 tackles and 4 pass breakups. 2018 breakout year, 43 tackles, 5 pass breakups, 2 interceptions. 2019, 43 tackles, 3 pass deflections, 4 interceptions. 2020, 24 tackles, 5 pass breakups, and an interception. So 7 interceptions in a college football career, pretty notable. A lot of these guys are lucky to get one. So 7 in a 4 year career, not bad. The only publication that thinks he's going to get drafted is the Draft Network. They actually think he'll be a 6th round pick. Everyone else thinks he's going undrafted. So this guy's probably going to go undrafted. He's well built for his own scheme, like the Seahawks run. He's got great ball skills, meaning that once he gets on the field, he should be somebody who you can count on to take the ball away a lot. He's a really good tackler, really effective in run defense and tackling players after the catch. And he's also likely to be a good special teamer as well. So there's really nothing bad I can say about this guy as far as UDFA goes. Like he's just a solid all around prospect. I don't have too much bad to say about him other than the fact that, he's not the most talented guy in the world and he does need to put on a little bit of weight. Is there anyone good from one of the Texas schools? That school seems to be a tunnel the Seahawks always look to. Everywhere I look, there are players from a Texas school going to the Seahawks. Not at this position, but in general, yeah, there are going to be guys we take a look at from Texas. That'll be something we get into next week, probably. Okay, so that's Antonio Phillips, who might be my favorite. Next up, we're going to do Nate Hobbs from Illinois, 6 feet tall, 180 pounds, 76.5 inch wingspan, and a 4.3840. So his wingspan is not great, it's okay. However, his speed is noticeable. Sub 4.440 times for cornerbacks in this range tends to be a little rare. So this guy's quick, this guy's fast. He also had a full 4 year career at Illinois. All 4 years he was productive. Only 3 interceptions and only 13 pass breakups, or 14. So that's a little weak, but it's not terrible. I mean, more than Keith Taylor Jr. can say. So he amassed over 150 tackles in his college career, or actually over about 180 tackles. So he was productive. The Draft Network thinks he'll be a low 7th round pick, and everyone else thinks he's going undrafted. So he's probably going to go undrafted based off what we know right now. He had 35 starts at Illinois, so he's very experienced, which probably means he's somewhat capped out, but there's positives to that. He's a good athlete for his height, relatively good athlete, should be good enough to play corner in the NFL. He should be able to play on the outside, and he should be able to fit in a cover 3 scheme very well. So he's a good fit for this defense, if nothing else. He definitely needs to develop, and he does need to learn how to make more plays on the ball. But I feel like there's something here with Nate Hobbs, and I think it makes sense for this defense. So that would be prospect number 3. I'm not seeing any real comments about him. This is probably somebody that people don't know that much about, which is understandable. He played at Illinois. But this next guy, I think there's going to be a lot of interest around because this next guy we're going to talk about has had a very interesting career arc. This is Mark Gilbert from Duke University. And here's the skinny on Mark Gilbert. He's 6'1", tall enough, 175 pounds, maybe needs a little bit of weight, a little bit of muscle, 76.5-inch wingspan, okay, workable. And we have a 40 time of 4.36, which is really good for a player in this range. All right, let's look at his career and follow me through on this. 2016 as a freshman, 2016. 18 tackles, 14 of them solo. Not much, whatever. 2017, 35 tackles, 14 pass deflections, 6 interceptions. This guy looked like an All-American as a sophomore at Duke. 6 interceptions in one season. This guy looked like a future stud. And then he got hurt. And he hasn't really done anything since. He played sparingly in 2018 and then he got hurt. He missed all of 2019, came back to 2020 and barely did anything. So the question with Mark Gilbert is he the guy he was in 2017 again? Or was that a fluke? Or is it just gone because of the injuries? He's played in a grand total of 4 games in his college football career since that all-pro type season. Pro Football Focus and the Draft Network think he'll get drafted in the 5th or 6th. Pro Football Network says undrafted. ESPN and Walter Football say undrafted. I think this guy will probably be a 7th round pick. Somebody will take a flyer on him as a 7th rounder. That's my guess. Yeah. So, very interesting prospect here, and let's try to solve this one. Darrelle Revis is his cousin. Yes, this is true. Darrelle Revis is his cousin. Yeah, Mark Gilbert, very interesting. So his tremendous 2017 campaign really does speak for itself. He's got tremendous ball skills. He can play in any scheme, zone, man, cover one, cover two, cover three. It seems like he can do it all. His size and length means he'll fit in outside, which is what we need, which is good. He's got serious injury concerns, obviously. I mean, I don't need to tell you guys that he's played in 4 games over the last 3 seasons. So you might be looking at like a Jason Verrett situation where you have a guy who is really good but also can't get on the field. And hey, Jason Verrett figured it out eventually. He actually was on the field last year, so who is to say that Mark Gilbert cannot do the same thing? So that's an interesting prospect. If you can get him with a UDFA selection, now you're talking. Low risk or no risk, high reward. Sign me up for that. All right. We have one final prospect to take a look at here, and he's another Georgia player, Mark Webb. 6'2", 210 pounds. So he's got the height, he's got the size, he's got all that. 79-inch wingspan, very nice. 79-inch wingspan, very, very nice. 4.5 time, it's okay. So this guy has the body type. This guy has the Carroll attributes that we all look for. He's got a 4-year career, although he didn't really do anything in 2017. He broke out in 2019 with 46 tackles, 3 pass breakups, and 2 forced fumbles. 2020, shortened year, 21 tackles, 2 pass deflections, and a pick, his first career pick. Mark Webb did play safety in college, but according to the things I read, he is expected to switch to corner in the NFL. We'll see if it happens, but the Draft Network at least believes that he can play corner in the NFL. He's an aggressive playmaker. He knows how to cover and keep the play in front of him. Just a good all-around safety. Yeah, the Draft Network has him listed as a safety, but if you take a look at the scouting report, they actually expect him to move to corner in the NFL. He's a physical tackler, which is obviously very good. The issue with Mark Webb is that while he does everything good before the ball gets there, once the ball is actually getting there, he struggles a little bit to actually reach up and make a play on the ball, which is why in a 3-year career he had 8 pass deflections and 1 interception. So he does have some stuff to work on there, but for a guy who is going to be very lucky to get drafted, and I think is probably going to be a 6th or 7th round pick, this is not bad. This would be a decent flyer to take. I think that in our defense he would play corner. I don't know if he will play corner and out on every defense. This defense, I think he's playing corner if he comes here. I think the overall theme of all this research is Seahawks have tons of options at cornerback, and I trust they can develop whoever they take, though I prefer Israel Mukamu. Yeah, Mukamu is probably the best bang for your buck. I think that Eric Stokes is the best corner that we could get, but that's an expenditure of capital that we might not be willing to make, although I hope we would. Mukamu you can probably get in the 4th, maybe late 3rd. So I would be very intrigued in the Seahawks maybe trading back in the 2nd, getting 2 third-round picks, and then using 1 third-round pick on a pass catcher, and then using the other third-round pick on Israel Mukamu. Okay, you think Stokes is going to fall to us? I think it's a possibility. I think it's becoming less likely. But I think it's on the table. All right, so I'm going to stay live for another 4 minutes. And in 4 minutes, I'm going to end the stream. I'm going to go take care of some business, and then I'm going to jump on Strikers for a while tonight. But yeah, that's basically what we're looking at. I'm probably going to be playing Strikers all night, by the way. So if you're interested in that, definitely make the time for it. Rousseau? Rousseau? Who is that, Eli Solo? Is that the safety? Why would we draft a safety unless he's going to move to corner? Hold on, guys. Let me check this out real quick. Rousseau? No, he's not a safety. Um. Oh, the Edge from Miami. You know, I wouldn't pass up Rousseau, but do we really need another Leo Edge? We don't need another Leo. We already have one. So I don't know. I'm not really on that wagon. All right. So to be clear, there are 3 players who I did not cover in this series that I would still like, but I ran out of room. I didn't want to spend all day talking about 38 million different prospects, but there were a couple guys who I did not go over who I like. Paulson Adebo, Trill Williams, and DJ Daniel. No problem, Daniel. No problem. So, all in all, there are 18 cornerback prospects that I would like the Seahawks to take at some point that I know of. 18. And of them, the only one that I really kind of aren't, I'm kind of cooling off of is Sean Wade. And even Sean Wade, he's like, he's still talented. He still could be good. Now that I know a lot more about that mid-round area, if we have our eye on Mukamu, I'm all for a trade back. If the Stokes, Farley, or Campbell aren't at round 2, as far as I'm concerned, it's a good problem. Oh yeah, it's a great problem to have. Yeah, we took Kerry Hyder 49er gold, but you took our Sherman, and that worked out pretty well for you overall. I know he only really had one good year with you guys, but it was a hell of a year. That being said, if Stokes is there, I just take him because that's how good of a prospect I think Stokes is. When is the draft? It starts on the 29th. So what, we're 3 weeks away? More or less. 2.5 weeks, I guess, at this point. I will be live streaming the whole draft, by the way. I'm excited about Hyder, me too. All right, guys, we went for an hour 15. I think we're going to go ahead and call it good here. Thank you, everybody, for coming out to this stream. We went over 15 intriguing cornerback prospects. I think we did great. I think the general consensus is that Israel Mukamu is the man, but there are a lot of other guys who people like as well and people that I like. So, next up, we are going to take a look at another position that I consider to be of need, tight end. So starting tomorrow we're going to do the second round of my mock draft, and then Tuesday we are going to start on tight ends. So everyone buckle up for that, but for now I'm going to get out of here. Give me a little bit of time and I'll jump on strikers. All right, guys? Peace out. Go Hawks. See you guys on strikers.